Yes, Rubies, welcome back to another video and thanks for joining me. So you'll be able to see the terrarium behind me, which is the newest setup in this room, and it houses my male neon day gecko. It's been up and running for about a month, and I trialled out some new lighting, which is the Reptisun UVB LED system. But does it work? And welcome back. So for those who haven't been following along, this is my enclosure for my male neon day gecko, whose name is Ted. So this is a 45 by 45 by 60 enclosure, which is made by Exoterra. Now, anything I mention in today's video, I'll leave links down in the description if you want to go and check out something similar yourself. Now, like I mentioned earlier, we've set this up for roughly about a month now. Now we added a drainage layer in here, which is volcanic mineral. And then on top of that, we had some fabric then just to keep the substrate and the drainage layer separate. And then I made my own substrate mix, which I'll leave a card up here or here and a link down in the description for that video if you want to see how I do that. We covered that then with a layer of leaf litter, fully planted out, added some springtails and some isopods as well to make the system bioactive itself. Now, so far, the system's been running for about a month and it's done really well, if I'm honest. I haven't really suffered with any of the plants. Now, I've been really happy with the Reptisun lighting, which is the LED and UVB system. Now, the UVB is primarily for the gecko. Now, this is not going to harm the plants unless you put them too close where they get scorched. But the gecko is what needs the UVB, and the LED system is primarily for the plants. Now, a couple of days in having this set up, I noticed the plants were growing towards the light straight away, which showed me it was a very good lighting system. Now, some of the only issues I've had so far is some of the polka dot plants down the bottom have grown a little bit leggy because they're competing to get to the light. Now, there could be not enough light for them to have to grow up like that, but there are things that we can do. So today I'll cut these back and try and replant them. Just to try and keep them lower growing and more compact because they just look a lot nicer, and see if we can combat that. But other than that, we've had nothing but new growth. So Pothos, everybody knows Pothos, it's quite easy to look after. We've got two different varieties in here now, and they're both growing new shoots and growing towards the light, which I'm really happy with as well. Now, we've also got some palms in here as well, and they seem to be growing really well. I've had nothing really died back, if I'm honest, and it's probably one of the first setups I've had where we haven't lost a single plant. So, does that tell you anything? Maybe. Now, the only thing I did notice, and I wanted to try and combat, so like I said, the polka dot plants, we want to keep them as compact as we can. So I have added additional lighting on here because primarily the Reptisun is at the back, and I've added a plant grow light along the front next to the domes. Now, I'm hoping that will help these grow a little bit more compact and they don't feel they need to grow towards the light as much, and hopefully they will stay a nicer shape. So far the Reptisun seems to be doing the plants really well, like I said. Now, we will probably have to continue to cut back the polka dot plants to ensure that they grow in a compact form. But eventually I'm hoping we won't need to do that as much and they will learn to grow more condensed. But over time I have seen a little bit more colour come in the bromeliads as well, because LED lighting will bring those colours out. Now, I see that in other enclosures such as Castros with the Jungle Dawn LED lights. Now, I'm still a massive fan of the Jungle Dawns, but I wanted to try something different out on this enclosure because it is a smaller setup, and I find the Jungle Dawns are great for the larger setups such as Castros and Birds that we have over there. Now, something else that's really important when setting up a bioactive enclosure would be to make sure that you top up your custodians. So we'll be adding some more springtails and isopods in there now. So another important area when it comes to your bioactive enclosure is the cleanup crew. So initially we added some springtails and some woodlice in there, and they clean up any of the mess, any of the waste, because the gecko itself will produce waste naturally. And that is small enough for the cleanup crew to be able to deal with, and it just saves you then having to clean out mess, poop, and all the other stuff that probably you don't really enjoy doing. But as time goes on, you will need to replenish those cultures. Now I've got some here, so I've got some isopods and some springtails. So thankfully when Tim from Tim Reptile came round to drop the gecko off, he dropped me some springtail cultures, which I was really grateful of, because in the UK at the moment, there's a shortage for whatever reason, and you can't come by them for love nor money. So overall, I've been really impressed with the Reptisun lighting, especially the LED lighting seems to be doing the plants really well. Like I mentioned earlier, it does have the UVB function on there as well, which is obviously going to benefit the gecko's health. Now I'm going to continue to obviously maintain this enclosure. I'll keep you updated on how the plants we looked at today are doing, because I'd imagine they're going to need a few more cutbacks before we see any progression, and they may continue to grow leggy, but all we can do is try. Now, like I mentioned earlier, I did add an additional lighting source on the front, because primarily most of the lighting, other than the heat source, was at the back. So I'm hoping now that'll help the plants at the front and the lower levels grow, so they'll have a little bit more light and have that more compact growth. But overall, I'm really happy with it. The gecko seems to be settling in really well. At the moment, he's just being fed on fruit flies, some rapashi. I've gotten some fruit pastes. I've also ordered some pollen as well, because they naturally eat a lot of pollen in the wild. Now, I know some of you mentioned about getting some bamboo logs in here, which I am considering doing at the moment, but this isn't going to be a temporary home for him, because I plan on getting a bigger Exoterra enclosure, because I want to house at least 3 females in with him eventually, and that'll all be coming up, so make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on that. But since this has been set up, I've been manually misting this down with a sprayer. Now I'm going to be taking my Cuban Nightingale's Monsoon Solo auto sprayer off her enclosure, upgrading that and adding the small one onto this. So that'll be something coming up very soon as well. But if you like this sort of content on bioactive enclosures, reptiles, amphibians, tropical fish, tropical inverts, anything like that, then make sure you hit that subscribe button and notification bell, because that's generally the content we do on this channel. As always, if there's anything you'd like to know specifically, then drop me a comment as well. I'd really appreciate you dropping this video a thumbs up, and I'll catch you in the next video.